All right, welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled meeting. Today is, what is today? It is December 13th, 2011. Please note that we have just exited executive session and no action was taken, and we are currently in open session. So at this time, if you could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So I will ask any additions, corrections, modifications, or substitutions to the current agenda, and I know that there are. So,
Mr. Chair,
yes?
I have one addition to the consent agenda. That would be Section 10, Item D, approval of personnel exiting and entering. And that's one person listed under certified staff exiting, and that is Gene Hull, full-time foreign language teacher at Woodburn High School. His retirement is effective 9/1/2012.
All right, thank you, Lori. Gene will be missed, but we'll be able to send him off at a later date. Next, the next change to the agenda would be due to a personal emergency. Patty McLean's presentation, the curriculum report, will be postponed until our next meeting in January. In addition, there is an addition to the old business, new business, and that would be item B, and that is the approval of proposed Blaine County School District Health and Safety Policy 502.11, driver's education inclement weather policy, and action will be required. So at this time, do I hear a motion to approve these changes?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Discussion? No discussion. Vote, please. Catherine?
Aye.
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 Aye. And those amendments are approved by unanimous vote. Okay. We will now move on to our accolades for December, and I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members and the audience. I have three. They're all pretty short, but they're all very good. So if I could start, I'll start with the first one. This was sent to Mr. John Peck, who's the principal at Cary School, and forwarded to us. Mr. Peck, I would like to write a note of appreciation for Mr. James Moray. He's made such a difference in my girls. JC has struggled with math the past few years, and because of that, has been very hesitant and afraid what higher math classes would bring for her. At the beginning of the school year, JC's math class took a standardized math placement test to see where their levels were and what they understood. JC ended up doing well, but she admitted that she guessed quite a bit on the test, which was honest of her. What made such an impact on her was a note that Mr. Moray sent home. He wanted us to know how well she did, and more importantly, I think, he wanted her to know that she could succeed. This has changed her whole outlook on math and has helped her change her focus to something much more positive. Mr. Moray's influence isn't limited solely to that. He seeks for opportunities to build up and help kids in any way he can. I have seen that in Jade also, and in many other students at Cary School. It doesn't matter if they have classes with him or not. They can be regularly seen visiting with him because they appreciate who he is. Mr. Moray is able to let them know that he cares about them and expects them to do their very best. How much we appreciate him. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Sincerely, Shauna Park. Is Mr. Moray here tonight? I didn't see him come in. You know, Mr. Moray is in his second year teaching math for us, and he actually took a very loved math teacher's place, Mr. Lee Pace, and has done a great job for us. So, we love to get those kind of letters from parents.
Thank you, Lon.
The second one I have is for someone near and dear to us, and it's Nita Trinkle, our administrative assistant at the district office, and she works primarily with Debbie Gutnick, but helps us all. Dr. Barber, I wanted to let you know how supportive, competent, kind, and compassionate Nita Trinkle has been to our special education department. She has supported us through a difficult transition of new software, the Case E, for IEPs. Nita continually demonstrates well-researched knowledge, competence in navigating the Case E, and accepts ownership when the program has glitches. She fields numerous calls each day regarding questions on how to complete IEPs and evaluation forms, and answers them with kindness and effectiveness. Nita always has time for us and dedicates all of her undivided attention to us when we call. Even though Nita is exceptionally kind and efficient, she also raises the bar and expects perfection, which she willingly guides us to, as any good teacher would. As a department, we are fortunate to have Nita work with us. Kindly, Joel Zeller, special education teacher, Wood River High School. And I just will add something. Nita does work upstairs with us. I don't think I've ever met a more beautiful person in my life. And beyond that, probably not a more efficient one in our life. We are so lucky to have Nita Trinkle working here in our office. Thank you, Nita. My guess would be anyone who knows Nita feels that way about her.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Is Nita back there somewhere?
She is.
Okay, all right. Any words? No, okay.
I'm just surprised that it came from Joel.
Uh-huh.
So that's really neat.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
Yeah, I think everyone appreciates you, Nita. The last one that we got is special. It goes to the Bellevue Elementary School 5th grade, and it actually comes from the mayor of Bellevue, Kristoffer Koch. It just simply says this: Dear class, thank you for a fantastic presentation. I could tell by your enthusiasm you all worked very hard and you love your city. You should all be very proud of yourself. This was a very professional presentation. The class is full of model citizens. I hope that your passion and ideas for our city continue to grow. Like you, I feel recycling is one of the best things that we can do for our town and planet, and I can't wait to continue to work with you and your teacher. If I could, Mr. Chairman, I'd like Principal Martinez just to say a few things about the presentation that they gave to Bellevue.
Actually, I'd like our students to maybe mention a little
Okay,
bit about that.
can they do that?
Yeah.
That's perfect, let's do that.
And Mr. Sneeze in the back. And, okay, Annie.
Is it on, Mrs.
No.
Martinez? Can you see if the microphone's turned on?
Should there be a light?
Yep, a green light, hold it down for 2 seconds.
Okay. There we go.
Today I'm here to tell you about our class project, Beautify Bellevue. In Mr. C's 5th grade class, it goes well with our project-based learning program. My class believes that our Bellevue city entrance could do well with a much-needed makeover. Stay tuned for updates and more information throughout the year on how our project is coming along. The goal for myself and my classmates is to become leaders in our community. Thank you for your time.
Want to introduce yourselves? Make sure everyone knows who you are.
My name's Betsy. My name's Annie.
And Garrett.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, thank you, Dr. Barber.
Thank you,
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
So our next order of business would be public comments. And I do see here that I do have one request for public comment. As a reminder, public comments are made at the podium. Please keep your comments limited to 3 minutes, and make no personal references, keep it to the subject at hand. So I think Miss Danny Dean, please come up. And the floor is yours. Yeah.
I'm not going to need 3 minutes. I just wanted to say that I was both excited and encouraged to see the subject of GATE education back on the radar screen at a school board meeting. A couple of years ago, a dialogue was started between the school district and the parents of GATE students, which got off to a really good start. I think there were probably 2 or 3 meetings that occurred, and I think some good progress and understanding was kind of gained through that process. And unfortunately, that came to a kind of abrupt end, and it was not picked up again. So I guess I am hopeful that tonight's presentation or discussion about GATE education will be the catalyst for a renewed focus on GATE education and the role that it plays for the students in the program, particularly on the GATE experience as it pertains to the transition that the students make as they leave elementary school, where the program is very robust, to the middle school and the high school level, where the program is less well-defined. And I guess specifically what I would hope is that the district can take a real good look at best practices in other school districts for how GATE is being done and done well at the middle school and high school levels, so that we can begin to move towards that in our own district. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? There is none. So we will move on. And just as a reminder, we do always encourage and do appreciate public comments. All right, so we will move on now. The next item of business is our very own Bellevue Elementary Preschool Program. And who's going to present? You, Angie, or Desmond?
I'm going to introduce the presenter.
Great, okay, thank you. Okay, yep. Floor is yours.
All right. I just want to say how celebratory this is for Bellevue tonight to receive an accolade from the mayor of Bellevue and celebrate what we're trying to aspire to in developing leaders at Bellevue Elementary School, and Garrett, Jesse, and Annie, who are here to represent their class tonight, and Mr. C, who has done such a great job in fostering that through project-based learning as well as through the leader in me. Oh, and Amber's here too.
She was home doing her homework. So.
All right, she's being proactive. So that shows you how we want to prepare students for the middle school, but our presentation tonight is kind of a nice bridge, is what do we want our students to experience when they first come through our doors. So what is the early learning experience, those first learning experiences for our students? So tonight, to present on our preschool program, we have 2 fabulous staff members, Miss Desna Smith, who is our preschool teacher, and her assistant, Miss Daisy Van Hares, who is a Grow Your Own and soon-to-be certified teacher in her own right. So they're here to present on our preschool program.
Thank you.
Okay, so we were just hoping to give you a snapshot of what preschool looks like when children come in, and give you some examples of what project work looks like in preschool and how we support 21st century skills in a play-based learning environment. You know, we really love what we do, and we feel like we're trying to set the foundation for a lifetime of learning. And a lot of the kids that are in our program may not even attend preschool if it wasn't for the program, so we're very proud to be a part of it. So this is an example of our project for social problem solving, and this is something we work all year long in preschool, learning how to recognize our emotions, ways to calm down, and how to solve problems with our friends. Our driving question was, how can we teach others how to get along? And the final product was a voice-recorded PowerPoint where the children drew a picture and we recorded their description for how to solve a common problem with their friends. It was 3 weeks long, and we integrated language, math, technology, and a lot of the small group work is where we were really building those interpersonal skills. And some of the, just a quote, specifically, project work gives chance of sharing among peers and realizing that others can have alternate viewpoints. And this is really important. Young children are naturally egocentric, and they have a hard time understanding what another person might think or feel. And so not only does it give them an opportunity to see that someone else can come up with an original idea, but what they have to say is important and valuable, and they have something to contribute. Another thing that we really try to do is take the project materials and activities and embed them into the learning environment, so that while children are at choice time, if something comes up, a problem, or two people that want to share, they can pull a strategy, or they can brainstorm with their friends, and it was really relevant to what we were doing in the classroom. Next slide, please. Okay, so the longer I work in early childhood, the more I appreciate the value of play for young children. Research has found that high-quality play can facilitate creativity, decision-making, group skills, leadership, resiliency, confidence, higher-level thinking, impulse control, and self-regulation. The AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, has issued a clinical statement recently, just defining the importance of play. And play is important to healthy brain development. And when children, as they are playing, children are trying to master their world, and it helps them develop their competencies that lead to enhanced confidence and the resiliency they will need for future challenges. And that resiliency is something that we need, because we're preparing our children for a future that we don't really know what it's going to look like. So, next slide. Yep. Another area that I really appreciated about the research on play is that dramatic play, like socio-dramatic play, pretend play, is really good at building self-regulation in children. And so as children are setting the boundaries of play and assigning roles and assigning responsibilities, they have to stay within those social rules and those social expectations with their friends. And so it really builds impulse control, and that's why Vygotsky believed that young children achieve their greatest self-control during play. And it's something that's so hard to teach, because if children can't regulate their emotions and regulate their behaviors, it's really hard to learn. So that's definitely a benefit. Organizing and setting up the rules of play facilitate higher level comprehension and divergent thinking skills. And these skills are required for school success. Next slide, please. So, and Daisy's just going to talk about how we set our area up into different interest areas. And she's going to describe those.
So after whole group and small group times, the children are given time to engage in self-selected play activities. This time gives our children the opportunity to pursue their own learning and explore the different interest areas. And so we just wanted to give you guys a brief picture and description of what our learning environment looks like. Under each of the pictures, we have the skills that the children may acquire as they participate in those certain areas. Here we have a picture of our block area, and block play supports mathematical understanding in so many areas, such as understanding concept of size, shape discrimination, sorting, and measurement. In our dramatic play area, children are exploring complex problems and challenges, which is preparing them for the greater stages of life. And as Desna mentioned, it helps build their confidence, their resilience, and self-control as they face future challenges. Next slide, please. In art, we like to have we keep our art activities open-ended. This helps encourage creativity and self-expression. And in our science and discovery area, this is an area where children can explore our natural world and build their own design. This gives us as teachers the opportunity to ask a lot of open-ended questions to encourage problem solving and critical thinking. Next slide. In our math and puzzle area, we have many pattern blocks, counters, Unifix cubes, and many other math tools. And the children use these math tools to help them develop skills in sequencing, classifying, counting, comparing, and estimating. In our sensory table area, we use a variety of materials in the table, and this helps children just explore different size, shape, and volume. They get to pour, mix, and just really feel the different textures in the sensory table. So it just helps them explore different sensory materials. Next slide, please. In our writing center, the children use a variety of tools for writing, drawing, and creating their own stories. Then in our library and listening center, the children get to listen to different stories and then are able to retell the stories using literary props to tell just familiar stories, as we can see, Brown Bear, Brown Bear.
Next slide, please. And we have some recent additions to our computer areas. This year we were fortunate enough to get some iPads, and we also got a Promethean board. So, we set it up as an interest area, and the children can, we have apps for, building literacy and math, but, they just kind of like how we explore technology. They're, working with it. And the interesting thing about the picture with the iPads is that the children, I have the 2 empty computers behind them because the children are always wanting to now use the iPads, but it's, it's so much easier for them to maneuver the iPads than the mouse for the fine motor for some of our kids. And I think that just that one thing has really made the technology more accessible to some of our younger students. And then the Promethean board. And next slide. I just want to wrap up with, there was an interview that Barber Walters did with the founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, and when she asked them, what do you attribute your success to? Is it that your parents were college professors? Was it your Ivy League schooling? And they both attributed it to their early learning, their nursery school and early years, and that they were really given the opportunity to, question the rules and be self-motivated, question what's going on in the world, and do things a little bit different. So that's that.
Thank you very much. Does the board have any questions?
Yes. We have 20 in the morning and 20 in the afternoon. So we have 2 sessions, and they're each about 3 hours long.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very impressive.
You're losing it.
Okay. Have a great time. And pardon?
James just walked in the hall. That is an amazing preschool. It is really good.
And I did see a couple of people come in, I believe, recently, and I just want to make sure that we did amend the agenda, and we have postponed the curriculum report until January, so that you're aware. So our next item of business would be item 10, and that's our consent agenda. And I will read through these. Consent agenda item A is the consideration of minutes. Regular November meeting, board minutes dated November 8th, 2011. Special meeting work session of the board, November 18th. Special meeting of the board, November 21. And special meeting of the board, November 22nd. The consent agenda item B, acceptance of monthly financial report, payment of bills. And item C is application for student travel by student group Larry Barnes, science teacher, and Erica Greenberg, Spanish teacher, Wood River High School. And item D, approval of personnel. Lori, could you go through that, please, for me?
Sure can. Under classified staff, recommending for hire, Ethan Hall, he's a computer technician at the technology building, and Teresa Uritia, I hope I'm saying that correctly, special education paraprofessional at Woodside Elementary. And then as amended earlier in the agenda this evening, retirement, 9/1/2012, of Jean Boll, foreign language teacher at Wood River High School.
Thank you, Lori. So at this time, I would, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as previously read?
I'll make that motion.
Is there
second.
Second? Discussion, further discussion? No further discussion. A vote, please. Paul?
Yay.
Sean?
Yay.
Yay?
Yay.
Okay, the consent agenda has been approved by unanimous vote. All right, our next item of business would be item number 11, and that's a guest presentation from the Blaine County Education Foundation, Mr. Mike Birchmore, and he is the Blaine County Education Foundation's Executive Director.
Thank you very much for having me tonight.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Erica, for being here.
So, for those of you that don't know me, I've been on the job for about 6 months now, and the last time that we had an update on the Education Foundation was probably about 2 years ago by Heather. So what I've done tonight is just put together a brief presentation on what the foundation is doing right now, what our goals are for the year, and some our financials. So I'll just go through that.
Great.
If I could have the next slide, please. So our mission statement, we always put this up front, and it really kind of causes us to focus on what we need to think about. And for us, it's really about focusing community resources and raising funds for the Blaine County schools so that we have academic excellence, equitable education, and a healthy and sustainable student environment. And so whenever we talk about the programs that we're doing, we're thinking about some Education Foundation activity, we always go back to our mission statement to make sure that we're being true to that. Next slide. So a little background, it was established in 1992. So, I mean, probably many people don't know that it's been around for nearly 20 years. And over that time, it's raised millions of dollars for the school district. One of the big things was the Founders Field that was put together by the foundation. And we received our 501c3 status in 1994, and we currently have a part-time executive director and a bookkeeper that comes in on an hourly basis to help with the financial pushing the paper around. We've got extensive community support on the volunteer board, and we just introduced an advisory council last year. Next, please. So our board of directors, there are several of them in the room. Jeff Wells, who's our co-chair, and then Mark Ratliff, who is our finance person, and then Mike Chatterton and Dr. Barber are both on the board. We've got a really strong board representing all aspects of the River Valley, people from the south, the north, old, young, parents, former school board people. It's just a really nice, strong group of people that are all focused on improving the school district to the extent that we can as part of the foundation. So thank you. The next one was we decided to create an advisory board for people. There's lots of people that don't have the time to participate fully on our full Education Foundation board. So our advisory board are people that we could reach out to when we need little things. So we have some former board members, Jeff Neal, Laura Moravitz, and Patty Tobin. And then also we're interested in working with the other community educators. So David Holmes is part of our advisory board, and also Jenny Davidson at CSI. So there are people that we could touch base with, and we have some, sort of things that are outside just the Blaine County School District. And Jenny Davidson's been very important lately because there's lots of kids seeking dual credits, and so she's been able to help us out with that. So going into the types of areas that are key for our support, we have 4 areas. Our CanDo Fund, and I'm going to go into a little more detail about each one of these. Teacher grants and professional development, our CanDo Academy, which is new, and then finally scholarships for high school graduating seniors, and then donor-directed funding, where people give money to specific projects. So our CanDo Fund is probably one of the things that is the most easy to grasp. This helps kids that have financial difficulties to be able to do all the things that every kid should be able to do. So our goal is to make money not an issue for anybody, any kid who wants to do anything that's school related. So this last year, in late 2010, we made it a goal to make sure that the CanDo Fund was fully funded. We also created some very clear guidelines and communicated those to the principals and social workers so that they know the types of things that we'll pay for and the types of things that we won't pay for. And I think that's been really good. We have been very fortunate that a lot of the local groups, local charitable organizations have helped us support this. And so we have been able to meet every eligible request that's come from this year. And I think it's quite an accomplishment for us. In the past, the CanDo Fund had this reputation of the Can't Do Fund because somebody would ask for something, we're like, oh, we can't do that. But now we've made it so that it really is the CanDo Fund, so that we can do everything that we need to. Some of the examples, we've paid for sports health insurance, so kids can play football or volleyball. We've paid for some instruments, so if somebody wants to play the clarinet at the middle school, she's able to do that. Dual credits, AP test fees, and last spring we helped with a couple of cap and gown rentals. So, just the things school-related, kids can't pay for, so that their parents don't have to make choices about these things. We're able to fund. The next one is our grant program. There's three sources of grants that we provide. One is the schools have their own sources of funding that the principals can use on a discretionary basis. This comes from various donors throughout the community that we bundle together and then distribute equally across all the schools. We have a spring and fall competitive mini grant program, which we just finished the fall review of, and we're going to be giving away about $6,000. We had 23 grant applications this fall, and we're going to be able to fund 15 of those. So the teachers and principals will know by the end of the week what those things are. And I did some calculations looking at what people said, how many kids were going to be impacted by these grants that we're just approving right now. And the principals or teachers estimated it's going to be about 1,600 kids throughout the district. So we're touching a good portion of that. And then finally, our Spanish, we've been providing scholarships to educators to take the CSS Spanish immersion program. And we did 8 of them last year, and in the past it's been in kind of that range. So I think we've been doing it for about 3 years now. And we just get some glowing reports from the teachers that take this program. So. Next one is our CanDo Academy, and this is new in 2011. This came out of an offsite, sort of a retreat that our board had, where we kind of looked at what would be really helpful to the school district. And as some of the federal funding has gone away, some of the enrichment programs are being dropped. So the foundation took it upon ourselves to try to come up with an enrichment program that the schools can use. So our pilot program for this year is a Spanish program. It's being run at 3 of the schools, Bellevue, Haley, and also Hemingway. We've got about 35 kids enrolled. And we hope that this works well for the school district, and in the future we could expand it as we raise more funds to be able to do these types of things. So next slide. And then finally is our area is our scholarships. So each year the Blaine County Education Foundation administers about 15 of the scholarships that are awarded at the end of the year. People give us money, we invest it for them, and then we write the checks to the kids that their groups select to receive these scholarships. And it's a nice program that we're able to administer and to help give back to the community. Then we also get a big source of donor-directed funds, where someone has an idea that they'd like to help the school district with, so they're able to give us the money, and we in turn direct it out towards that particular program. A couple examples are the Special Education Parent Liaison Center. That's funded through an anonymous donation that is funneled through the Blaine County Education Foundation. The local music program gets significant support, and then various other things, like we helped Hemingway with some iPads and a bench, and where somebody wanted to donate these things, so we were able to work with those donors to help them get what they wanted. So our key donors. So most of the money that comes in is directed towards something, so we have very little that comes in that says, use for whatever you want. We're hoping to increase that in the next few years, because that helps us provide flexibility to the types of things that we could fund. There's many individuals that have helped us with these things. Some key donors are, like I said, mentioned before, the Parent Liaison Center. And then for the CanDo Fund, we've gotten significant support from the Wood River Women's Charitable Foundation, the Papoose Club, and the Little Black Dress Club. We went out to these organizations who, a lot of them are about helping children, and asked them to help support us for the CanDo Fund, and they've been all very generous. And so that's why the CanDo Fund is in such good shape right now. There's like many individuals, and then finally we receive donations from many Blaine County school district employees. Many of the people that are in the room right now are contributing on a monthly basis to the foundation, and as well as individuals within the community, and the BCEF board members have been very, very generous with us as well. And in fact, all of you should be getting letters pretty soon saying, please help the foundation. The annual appeal is going on right now, so when those letters come, please think about us. So our budget, so a little finance, so this is our income statement, our actuals from 2010. We brought in about $220,000, and then we sort of have our projected budgets, raising certain things, other things are keeping the same, but this is kind of the budget that we're working on for the next 2 years. Our finance person was instrumental in creating this. The next slide is our expenses. So we have about $200,000 that comes in. Every year we have about $200,000 that goes out, and that's the way it should be. So you should be spending everything that you get. The numbers are a little different year by year just because of the timing of some of the expenses and income. So that's why they're a little off. A couple key things here. In 2010, we had the Teacher Magnet Fund, which is $14,000. This was a program where we were helping educators get into houses with down payment assistance, and we've exhausted that fund, so it's kind of zero all the way across. If somebody comes in with a big chunk of money, that might be a good thing to do, especially with housing costs going low now. So we might be able to help some teachers get in. I think we helped about 10 teachers get into houses for the first time, so that's something that we're very proud of. And then the other thing that's different about this is our CanDo Academy. You can see that we're projecting to increase the funding of this program going forward for the next couple of years. So our goals for 2011, 2012, one is direct grants to the classrooms, and really focused on 21st century skills. The last 2 rounds of mini grants were all project-based learning activities, and people have been very receptive to that. So we're going to finish the fall one, and then we hope to do another one in the spring. Goal number 2, initiate the CanDo Academy. Like I said, we've got it at three schools right now. We'll continue to talk to the principals and hope to expand that in the future as funding comes in. We want to increase the visibility of the foundation. We've been in the paper a couple times. We're doing events like the Wicked Spud and the Cornerstone Bartender's Night, and it's not all sort of fun and games. We're raising money in these things, but it's also kind of fun. So we're really we're talking about the grants and our CanDo Fund and our CanDo Academy. Always number 4, you have to have that one on there, increase fundraising, so we'll continue to do that. And then number 5 is one of the critical things for all of us is to really fully support the CanDo Fund, make sure that we can fulfill all eligible requests. And then finally, develop a funding plan for the executive director position by June of 2012. Currently, the school district pays for my salary, and it's the foundation's goal to get the executive director salary off of the school district payroll and into the foundation itself. Conclusions. So we're a vital source of funding for the students, educators, and the school district itself. We continue to support our existing programs like the CanDo Fund, and we're always looking for new additional activities. We're increasing our visibility. We feel that increase your visibility will also increase your fundraising. And then finally, we're going to figure out the executive director salary for the future years. So that's it. Any questions or comments?
Well, thank you, first of all.
You're welcome.
Yep. So how are, in regards to the CanDo Fund, how are those needs identified through school counselors or outside of the school system? Or?
So it's all within the school system. Mm-hmm. So principals, school secretaries, and social workers are the primary source for those things. They fill out a form. The kids also will write a brief note or the parents will, asking for the support, and it's all kept completely confidential unless the child is willing to talk about it publicly. We, I'm myself and one or two other people that review these grants are the only people that know what these kids are needing, and we do it very quickly and help.
What 3 schools are, you said there were 3 schools that have, for the CanDo?
For the CanDo Academy.
Okay,
So,
now the funds are available district-wide?
The funds are available district-wide.
Yeah, okay.
We primarily get requests from the middle school and high school years, because the elementary schools just don't seem to have that many requests. In the past, we've funded the health insurance, so kids can go on the ski day. So that's one area that we've helped elementary schools. But probably in the last 6 months, most of them have been middle school and high school, and it includes Carrie too. So.
Well, I would like to thank, again, Mike, for all the work that you do, and for your board, for all the work that you do on behalf of our kids. And it's a terrific program, and we want to continue this partnership and build upon it just like you do. So, are there any other questions, comments?
Just like to say that Mike and the board, they're doing a wonderful job. When Heather was there, I said, what will happen when Heather leaves? And they picked the ball up, and it's been awesome. It's great to work with Mike, and got a chance to work with Jeff on a committee this last year here at the district. So just appreciate everything you guys are giving to the school and the children. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
John?
Steve, I'd just like to thank him also, as a coach in extracurricular activities, just being able to see kids not have to worry about being able to participate due to funds, and so they've helped so many kids, and I've seen it firsthand, paying for football insurance or a pair of cleats or an instrument, things like that, just opens up a whole world. So thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Good job, Mike.
All right. Okay, once again, the curriculum report has been postponed for our January meeting. And we will now move on to the board chair report.
But did you miss the consent? Did we do the consent?
Yep.
agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe. So,
Did you miss?
And so I will make a few comments in regards to the chair report. One is based on item A, closed executive sessions. And we have had a number of executive sessions during the past couple of months, and I just want everyone to know that there is always a legitimate reason for these executive sessions. They're always conducted within compliance of the state law. We take it very, very seriously. I know that I've been out of commission for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and Vice Chair Nerge was gracious enough to answer some concerns in regards to this. So I think, Don, if you don't mind, I'll just hand this over to you. And
Sure. Thank you, Chairman Guthrie. There's been some questions about closed executive sessions recently, as Steve has suggested, and we wanted to just take a moment as a board and try to answer some of that and explain what an executive session is and inform the public regarding the procedures and the legal limitations for these closed executive sessions. So I just prepared something here. Probably easier if I just read it. The Blaine County School District Board of Trustee meetings, just like any other public entity, are subject to Idaho's open meeting laws, and we take those seriously. All meetings, with the exception of closed executive sessions, are held in view of the public, just like we're doing right now. We conduct the meetings according to Idaho code. The law requires a minimum 24-hour posting of notice for executive sessions, and we make every effort to provide notice well beyond the minimum required. As part of the requirement, we must state the reason for the closed executive session. Idaho law lists 10 different reasons, and in their code it's letters A through J of section 67-23451. Closed sessions are typically scheduled for 3 reasons in the Blaine County School District: consideration of a student issue, personnel, or property. They're not limited to that, but that's typically why we're having them. The meeting begins as an open meeting. Following a motion stating a reason to go into executive session, a vote is taken. If passed, the board will go into a closed executive session. These meetings may or may not include administrators, staff, personnel, attorneys, and students. At the conclusion of the executive session, a motion is made to open the meeting. Once open, any action to be taken, which could be a vote in the case of an expulsion, occurs in full view of the public. Minutes are available from each of these meetings and are posted on our website. However, these minutes will not disclose confidential information, but rather the action, if any, that was taken. We conduct these meetings in accordance with Idaho Code and have verified this with several attorneys, including our own legal counsel. And I'd like to read parts of Amy White and Brian Julian's response regarding executive sessions and notice and agenda requirements, and there is a copy of this available if you'd like. They are the legal counsel for the Idaho School Boards Association, and Amy White sent this memo to us, and I think she really states it quite well, and I'm just going to read from it. The format that your school is currently using is the exact same format and language that I see used all over the state. I believe that this format and language used complies with the provisions of Idaho Code with regard to stating the statute that allows for the executive session, as well as a statement of reasons for the executive sessions. I do realize that a number of individuals, organizations, and/or entities may think that this notice posting is not specific enough. However, it is my opinion that if the district is too specific in what they detail on an executive session notice, such entirely defeats the confidential purpose of the executive session. Further, in some cases, it may well result in an allegation of violation of state or federal statute regarding student or personnel confidentiality. Certainly, a notice could state student expulsion hearing or consideration of dismissal or to hear charges brought against a school student. However, all someone would have to do is sit and wait to see who enters and exits from the hearing to know exactly which student is being subjected to disciplinary expulsion proceedings. This ends up in the newspaper the next day, and then there's a charge the district violated confidentiality. This type of a notice could certainly be viewed as walking dangerously close to the line of violating a student's educational records as to discipline and FERPA considerations. And FERPA is the Family Educational Rights Privacy Act. Further, in the specific example provided, it is possible that the board may be addressing multiple issues contained in this specific provision and be well within the notice requirements. Stating the exact and specific language of the statute sets the parameters of the possible discussion and helps to prevent the boards from violating open meeting laws. Last, historically, many boards utilize a practice where they would simply identify executive sessions and then state personnel on the notice. This is the type of catch-all phrase that, from my perspective, the change in the statute was designed to prevent. Further, it was always a concern of multiple individuals and entities that when a catch-all of personnel was used, the discussion in executive session was broader than what is actually the very narrow limitation of matters relating to personnel that can be addressed in an executive session. As part of our discussion, we did agree that the specific issue of the confidentiality of student disciplinary activity by a board may well be something that Idaho legislatures may wish to consider. The legislature has deemed it appropriate for a board to vote to place a teacher onto probationary status during an executive session in order to protect the privacy rights of a teacher. Certainly, the privacy rights of a minor child involved in disciplinary activities deserves as much, if not greater, confidentiality protections than a tenured teacher who's placed onto a period of formal improvement. It is truly only the areas of confidentiality, disciplinary actions relating to personnel and to students that trip confidentiality concerns associated with the executive sessions. In closing, we as a board do not believe that it is in the interest of any of the parties involved in a closed executive session to specify beyond the notice requirement, as per Idaho law, the reasons for the meetings. We do value transparency and open meetings, but not above privacy and confidentiality, especially in matters of students and personnel. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Don. Any other comments from the board on this issue? Nope. Again, thanks, Don. That was very well done. The next item would be, I've lost track here. Oh, yeah, okay. We did attend, the board attended the ISBA, Idaho School Boards Association annual convention in Coeur d'Alene. I believe that was in early November. And along with the board, Dr. Barber, Heather, and John, I believe, am I missing anyone? But we had Lori, we had administrative representation, we had our board clerk and the board. And, these are very valuable opportunities for board members to attend. There are work sessions that are very informational and helpful, but I think the biggest thing that I get out of these conventions, are just gives me, and I think the rest of the board, an opportunity to network with peer board members and, talk about practices that they are, that they are in the process of pulling out, and it's just a good opportunity to learn what other boards are up to. Any other comment on the convention? Nope.
You're speechless, Catherine?
Catherine, that's the first time. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, and then, I'm sorry.
I'd just like to say I really appreciated the time with the board and actually be able to visit one-on-one and talk about some educational issues in a more, in a different type of setting. I thought some of those conversations were just outstanding. So,
yep. Thanks, John. And to conclude my chair report, I just do want to announce that due to the holiday schedule, we will not have a board work session this month, but we'll resume that in January. All right, on to old business, new business. Item A, and that is the GATE and accelerated learning opportunities, and I'm going to hand that over to Ms. Graves. Is that can you speak, Catherine? Okay.
I might have you, John. So I just wanted to bring forward to the board and to let the public know that the district is going to be forming a committee to look into more accelerated and challenging opportunities for our students. And the district is also looking into reconvening the GATE committee that Danny Dean was speaking at earlier in the public comments. That GATE committee was headed up by Matt Murray 2 years ago, and a lot of great work was done by that committee. And we realized that these conversations need to be started up again. At this point, we're in the early stages of putting a new committee together and reconvening the old committee. And we want to open up this dialogue because we're always looking for ways to improve. And we will be seeking input on these topics. And we will also be seeking volunteers to sit on, both parent volunteers to be sitting on these committees. We made both administrators and teachers, parents and students. So we want to let the board know and having these conversations.
That's great, Catherine.
And if there's anything that John or Lonnie would like to add.
Lonnie?
I'll start and then I'll turn over to John. One of the things that, and we do need to reconvene the GATE. It's important to us, and we don't want to, drop the work that we did on that. The other thing that we're looking at in the accelerated learning opportunities, I think we would like to put a committee together, and John's going to talk a little bit more about it, that starts maybe at the middle school and looks something a little bit like, and I don't know if we're calling it pre-AP, but I think it is the ways, opportunities for students, not just gifted and talented, but certainly them also, to accelerate, not in a small cohort, but I mean there could be kids that are accelerated in one area or another, not all areas. And, one of the board's goals, I think it's I like all your goals. I think this is one of the best ones, is to, improve rigor and get more kids involved in AP programs at the high school. I think that the accelerated learning committee can do a lot towards, how are we preparing those kids for those more rigorous and advanced classes. I was fortunate. I met with two parents, had a great meeting, and they are willing to kind of co-facilitate along with Mr. Blackman, and I'd love to sit on those committees with Mrs. Graves. So, the thing that we want to do in this school district is provide a continuum and a high-level continuum for all of our students, from the lowest to the highest. And I think this will go a long way towards doing that. And I think John's doing some work on the committee formation now. So,
yeah, I actually contacted Christy Turco today and started some of that work. I've also met with some other folks on the accelerated opportunities for students. Some of the things that we have in place already at the middle school are really geared more towards math acceleration. My student is one of those students. I'm also the parent of two prior GATE students that went through our system. So I was on the GATE committee last year, and I have a real passion for that. I think there's some GATE issues that need to be addressed, and we need to keep moving forward with GATE. I think we made some progress 2 years ago regarding the high school and the middle school, but I think that was a little incomplete. I think we need to reconvene that committee and start having those dialogues again with parents. And then there's also the issue of accelerated opportunities that we have, such like we have in math right now, but in the areas of, say, language arts, science, and some of those other areas where students who are not necessarily GATE, but have the opportunity to accelerate. My own student right now is accelerated in math at the middle school. He's not a GATE student, my youngest, but he is definitely talented in math, and he has been accelerated in that program. But he doesn't have those same opportunities in language arts and science, and so we also want to look at those issues as well. But so we're starting that work, and like I said, I contacted Christy today to get the names of the folks that were on the committee before, but also reaching out to new groups of parents, because a lot of the parents that served on that committee 2 years ago, their students have graduated, moved on, or are no longer in the district. So we need new parental input for that committee. So if anybody's interested out there, contact me. Let me know that you're interested in that committee, and I'll be more than happy to consider you for that.
Don?
And I really appreciate and thank Trustee Graves for the initiative in picking this up, and as well as the administrators who are willing to do this and show that we can juggle more than 3 balls at once and look into other things. So that's great.
Okay. Thank you. I guess we'll hear more of this in the future. Question, Catherine? Or I should maybe, if you can't answer, have John do. And I just need to know, so it sounded like you may possibly reconvene the GATE committee, and then also establish a advisory committee in regards to the accelerated program?
Well, we also want to look at the accelerated learning opportunities that aren't necessarily some of the GATE issues, but are, look at, all the other kids, too, that aren't necessarily GATE, that have accelerated opportunities in areas that they're strong in, whether it's language arts, whether it's science, whether it's math, or whether it's music. But obviously, GATE is also, part of that discussion. But there's also issues, I think, that revolve specifically around GATE that we need to address with the parents and with the GATE teachers and so forth, that I would really like to have those conversations as well. So I see this as 2 committees.
But yeah, it's 2 separate committees, but they'll integrate into one
common
goal, I think.
Overlap.
Yeah, there's some overlap. There's some overlap there. But I'll be putting both those together.
Great. Okay.
If I could, I think the overlap is certainly when we have accelerated opportunities for very bright kids in any area. I think GATE kids will also benefit from that. The GATE is, I think when we're talking about GATE, we're talking about a more of a programming issue, and how can we best deliver the GATE program to students. Mm-hmm. I think the accelerated opportunities is maybe the benefit that kids have from being in GATE, and some other kids from being very good in one or more subjects. Mm-hmm. So I think there's definitely overlap, but I think there's also a separation. We want to do work in both areas.
Great, thank you. And I concur, Don. Thank you, Catherine. we have, our plates are full, I will say, and for Catherine to take this on is wonderful. So, let's see here. Yeah, and this was informational only, no action required. The next item of business would be, this is an action item, and it's the approval of investment policy. Mike, do you want to present on that? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, since we met the last time in November, I've had several people look at the policy and address it. I didn't want to make the policy so narrow that it was going to exclude some local people from being able to bid on something like this. And so I've actually had Jeff Neal look at the policy. I've had our auditors look at the policy. I've had Wells Fargo Bank. I've contacted Eric Bowe from RBC Capital, Greg Capel, Shelley Siebel from Edward D. Jones here in Haley, Clearwater Capital out of Boise and Saddle Northwest. And they all had to take a look at this policy and make adjustments to the policy to both protect the school district and to make sure that it didn't preclude people from being able to ultimately bid on something for the school district. And so what I sent you in the packets was a compilation of all of their suggestions and rework of the policy to make it fit that criteria.
Mm-hmm.
And so moving forward, the goal is to set up a small committee of about 5 people and send out solicitation notices to several different people, both local and out of the area, of people that would be interested in handling these investments for the school district. And then have them respond on both a scenario of, here's the investment timeline that we're looking at. Same thing that we looked at last week as far as investments of the QSCB or the school plant facility money coming in over the next 6 years. Mm-hmm. Here's our guidelines of when the money's going to be coming in, invested. We want you to give us an idea of what investments you would be investing in right now, as well as a yield on what you would anticipate on those investments based on the timelines we've given you, as well as the amount of fees that you will charge the school district. And then we'll narrow that down to 2 or 3 different companies and then probably interview those companies to make a decision.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Paul?
Are we looking at ideally only having relationship with one person or one group?
The thing that I found out with, if you have multiple groups, the less amount of money that you have invested in a company, the more money that they're going to charge you on the fees. Like, for example, if you have like $5 million to $10 million with a company, they'll charge you like a 0.22%. And if you have 10 to 20, they may charge you 0.15%. So if you break it out, you're going to be paid more fees.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, ultimately, I would rather deal with one person or one team than multiple teams.
Okay.
And as long as the policy really drives what the investments that they are allowed to put money in, it's basically going to be pretty equal.
Yeah, that's pretty cut and dry.
And Idaho Code really is deliberate on what we can do with invested money anyway. So,
Kathy?
Mike, where did this policy come from?
this policy came from a lot of different sources. It came from Seattle Northwest, and it came from several school districts across the state. And what I asked them is to send me their policies, and then I went and picked through all of the policies to come up with the little aspects that I liked out of each one of the policies and put it together with this. And then I sent it out to all of these people that we mentioned and said, look at this policy from an Idaho school district. What kind of suggestions would you add or take out of this? And that's what we have right now.
Was this on the website?
It was on the website last month with the board agenda.
But not this. But not the changes.
No.
Mike, when would you expect to go through, to have your committee convene and go through the selection process?
Right after, right when we get back, that first week of January, we need to get going on something. We have the money in place right now, so we can move forward on it.
I mean, I like what I've seen, and I like the fact that I think Dawn asked that we get a third-party eval on it, and obviously you've gone out and done that. And I think it's a solid policy, personally.
I think it's great to have a policy, but I would like it, you know, for the new policy to be able to be reviewed by the public.
This particular policy? In addition to the 6 or 7, the professionals that Mike had review it. Is that?
Yeah, they're just
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
sorry.
Before the policy would be adopted, because once it hits policy, our policy manual will be posted on the website, so
Right.
everybody can see it. Okay.
Any other, Dawn?
What's the timetable, Mike, that you're anticipating once this policy is approved? You know, is there a timeline of when, are we sitting on money right now that we want to have invested?
We're sitting on money right now that we could have invested.
And this policy came out of it being required by the investment banks that they needed a policy from the board
Right.
saying they're authorized to go ahead and invest the money.
Yep. They want guidelines from the school district saying what's legal to invest in and what's not, other than what Idaho code has given them.
So if this is approved, and once it's approved, you would go out essentially for bids from these different organizations. The bids would come back, you'd have a committee review them, and then you would be making a recommendation to the board that we would vote on?
Yes.
For the investment?
Yes. We would actually probably interview the top 2 or 3 companies and then make a recommendation to the board to approve.
Okay.
Any other?
More than likely, that recommendation will probably be in February. I don't think we can get everything organized in time for the January meeting with the recommendation and the interviews and everything, so.
Paul?
Well, it seems to me that given what really appears very tight restrictions on how we can invest our money, what mechanisms we can use, and that everybody has to play within those rules. I feel pretty safe, just because of the state protections to begin with. I mean, that just limits so much possibility of improper action.
Right. Really, Idaho code protects the school districts and all government agencies and all taxpayers against government agencies going out and investing in any type of a speculative market. You know, the investments that they say that you can do is 100% secured by the federal government, or an Idaho corporation, or an Idaho credit union, or a bank, or something that they will back specific bank assets involved in, or you're 100% guaranteed by the federal government. Is really the limitations on what we can invest money into.
Mm-hmm.
Sean?
I think between the Idaho statutes and getting the professional's opinion, taking from all the other different district policies throughout the state, I think due diligence has been done. I think that even if adopted, it doesn't mean that the policy can't be adopted or tweaked in the future. We have a standing policy committee that can revisit and tweak things as we need to, but I would feel comfortable in adopting.
Okay.
One other
Don,
question.
yes.
Mike, would you anticipate, once a group is picked, that it's a contract that's with them for a year, or is it something where we review it? We would periodically review it and see if we're happy, if things are going the way we want them to go?
I'm not really sure how that all works, but what I am sure is you would definitely have an out clause with any investment banker, just like we do with anything else. Idaho code really prohibits school districts from entering into any contract for more than 1 year. So anytime we enter any contracts, it has to be renewable every year. So, and this would be the same thing with an investment advisor group as well. It would have to be renewable every year.
Okay, thanks.
Lonnie?
However, I'm not sure, Mike, that if you were in a federally insured investment, that would have to be renewed every year. You could invest for 2 or 3 years, but we would have to renew our vendor's contract with the investment agent.
Yeah, the investments for itself, I mean, because I would imagine that some of these investments could go out 5 years.
Right.
That's not to
what I
say
was
that those have to be renewable every year. It's just the services that this person is providing is renewable every 5 years. And it's just like any other contract or any other contractor or professional we hire. It's always the same.
Well, it sounds to me like, I mean, we do have funds that we need to invest. We have had a peer review. I get a consensus from the board that this is an action item, and I think we should put it on the table and put it out for vote. Is any other questions or comments?
I guess my preference would be to table this issue until the next meeting. But I feel that I voted.
I think we're going to move on with the action item, and so at this time I would ask for a motion, or do I hear a motion to approve the investment policy as presented by Mr. Mike Chatterton?
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Paul?
Catherine, your point was you would like to see this document scrutinized or just observable by the public
Yes.
at large. It will be, presuming when the minutes are available. Is that time frame? Do you feel comfortable with that? Because if all you wanted to see is to have the public have a look at this, then it would be possible then. I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't be possible before then.
No,
Mike, you can add to the discussion.
And we could actually post this on the website tomorrow morning.
Would that alleviate some of your hesitation?
Well, that would be post the vote, the approval of the policy.
So you essentially want to see what people to have a look at it and see what they think of it before we vote on it.
Lori, was this investment policy on the website in the board packet?
Investment policy, as you presented it 1 month ago in the regular November meeting, was in the minutes.
Okay.
And the agenda is just posted alone on the website. It will be in the minutes coming up for December, as with the changes noted.
Don?
Liz, we asked regarding this document, since it was on the agenda, from the public at all?
Not that I could see.
Okay. I understand what Catherine's saying. It would be good if this was attached to the agenda for people to have viewed prior to the meeting. It is essentially, with some changes, the document we were provided the first time around, but I think we need to make sure we attach these to the agenda for the public to view prior to a meeting, so that with changes, they're alerted to it. The fact that there wasn't any contact made by the public for this document, I feel comfortable with the review that's been done and what's been presented.
Paul?
Broadening the discussion slightly, and may have to apologize for that. In looking at this, when I got my packet, that was one of the first things that came to my mind is that we have a public meeting tonight, and everything that's in our board packet, presuming it's an open meeting, anything that's in that packet, perhaps our entire packet should be posted to allow people, whether they want to scrutinize this, they want to see the nuts and bolts of what may be coming forward that may be of some interest to them. Whether it's the communication plan, there's no reason that it shouldn't all be on the web, because it's people's property.
I think that's worthy of further discussion, for sure, and how...
Yeah, if I could, certainly posting on the web is one thing. Posting where we post the agendas, we post in 17 places, that isn't going to be possible to physically post.
Oh, no,
because that's hundreds of pages.
Accessible,
right, could be very easily done.
Yeah, and I think it would. Just another piece of the puzzle would help.
Yeah. So, yes, Larry.
If I may?
Yep.
That's totally possible. I mean, it's the same as posting the minutes with all these things attached. The only, it's not a hurdle, it's a time question. We are posting 10 days ahead now instead of 7. So between that 10 days until the meeting, many things happen. We get updates, we don't get the packet information until 2 days later. That's our deadline, the Wednesday prior to the meeting. So I could have that up there as it stands, but I might be missing a few key pieces that I haven't received yet, or they might be changed.
Yep.
I mean, I got a presentation this morning with some updates in it, which I already got on time, of course, but I'm just saying it might not be 100%.
So the discussion now is the motion at hand, but I think this issue is definitely worthy of further discussion that we can have possibly at our next board
I'm happy
meeting.
to post whatever I do.
Mr. Chairman, I think we could bring it back in January, just have a discussion on this topic. And I don't think there's anything we couldn't overcome. Although Lori's right? We get updates all the way, sometimes up to the day of the meeting. But.
Okay. So I will reel it in and come back to the motion at hand. And is there any other further discussion? Okay, where am I here? Okay. So no further discussion. I will now take a vote on this motion. Paul?
Yay.
Sean?
Yay.
Yay. Don?
Yay.
Catherine? Okay, the motion, I'm sorry, Mike, let me get back to that. Yep, a motion to approve the investment policy has been approved by unanimous vote. Thank you, Mike. Okay. Bear with me. Okay, item C would be the approval of the communication plan. Heather, you're going to present, please. And just so that the board is aware, that this is also an action item.
Heather, did you want to grab this?
You have it. Yeah, I got it. Sorry. Do we have those URLs, or should I? Okay, so there are just a couple things I wanted to address that have come up since I presented the communications plan. Since last month, I've met with Trustee Graves and received comments from other board members on the plan. We've discussed the plan at length in some cases. The board and this administration have many ideas for increasing communication that I think are ongoing discussions that are fantastic to have. Through the BCSD weekly update, which goes to over 3,000 people, 47 people viewed the communications plan. I received 2 comments. Well, the school board received a comment from one patron, and I received a comment directly. The patron who sent the comment to the school board also sent a communications plan. I've evaluated that plan and compared it with the one that I presented last month. There are standard elements in all communications plans, and ours has all of those plus more. Some of the questions that came up with the board, I'd like to it just felt like this was kind of a nice opportunity, especially since this is a webcast, and this is a great advertising opportunity. RSS feeds. Some people are a little confused about how they work. So on our school district site, when you see that logo, which is kind of the typical logo for the RSS feed, we have information about how they work and how you can set them up. So you can set them up through either of these 2 sites. It explains how it works. And basically what you end up getting is that every time we post in the news column of the school district website or any of the schools can also have their own RSS feeds. And so anything that's updated on the school news section can go out automatically. And what you end up getting once you've subscribed, you've set up your browser and you've subscribed to our RSS feed, is you basically get a kind of a little piece up on your toolbar. And if you click on that, all it lists is just the headlines for each news article. So it's very clean. It doesn't junk up your internet browser at all. It's a nice way of getting that information fed to you. So rather than checking the school district website every day, which we would prefer that you do, this is a way to just automatically kind of stay abreast of everything that we're doing and announcing on the website. And again, that goes for each of the schools too. So that's one thing I wanted to encourage you to do. Next thing is for our email, people refer to it as email marketing. I guess we're marketing the school district, but it's really a fantastic vendor service for us. And I've lost my login here. Here it is.
Password too, 12 dots.
Huh?
I have
You
that password
memorizing
too,
it?
12 dots.
I'll share it. So what I wanted to show you with this is just how we're basically tracking how many people are reading the emails that we're sending out. And let me just get to email marketing here. And report. So this lists all of the emails that we send out. We have started to send out single event emails, which have been hugely successful, which I can show you in addition to the weekly updates. And those have been how we've been advertising the math meetings. So I think this is a really good use of taxpayer dollars. It's $65 a month for the subscription, and that includes unlimited emails. We recently added a newsletter for the high school that went out that was met with a lot of success, and people were very excited. But this is kind of the part that excites me the most, and this is where I share that with Dr. Barber, that drive for data and information. So this is these are our statistics here, and the red line shows you, or the green line shows you the open rate. The red line shows the click rate. So the green line is how it sent the email sent to over 3,000 people. The green line is going to show you that 800 people actually opened up the email. And then the red line shows you when they're clicking on each article, and then we can tell which articles are the most widely read. These are industry standards. You can see for the most part, we're always above the industry standards. And on occasions where we aren't above industry standards, for instance, the Parent Math Night is a great example of that. That was a single event email, and as soon as all these people opened it, there was no further place for them to click. So that's why you see your click rate is down and the open rate is higher. So
that's something that I pay attention to, and it's a nice tracking feature for us to evaluate the effectiveness of our communication over, hopefully about a year period. So for instance, down here with the weekly update that was sent last week, it was sent to 3,135 people. I'll bring this up so people in the back can see it. This is the bounce rate, which we don't pay too much attention to because that's just the automatic messages from people that are out of the office. This is really key for us that 3 people opted out, and they can opt out for all sorts of different reasons. They do fill out a survey if they want to let us know why they're opting out. But the thing is, what's important to me is that 3,135 people want to receive an email from the school district. We don't want to send it to people that don't want to receive it. So that opt-out feature is really important. People get too many emails already, so we want it to be going to people who really genuinely want it. So we see that 709 people actually opened it. That's that green line up above. And then we see that 102 people clicked on various articles. Here's the email. Oh, and look, it made a liar out of me. It's not 47 people that clicked on the communications plan, it's 49. So people do refer to this all throughout the week. They aren't just reading it on the day that it goes out. A lot of people open it up later on the weekend and things like that. So does anyone have any questions about that? Maybe you guys don't think it's as exciting as I do.
I have one, Heather. Heather, does this track IPs? I mean, do they come from multiple IP addresses?
Yes.
Or multiple IP
Yeah,
addresses?
that's individual IP addresses. You can do unique clicks, and then you can also do the combined. But yeah, that's individual IP addresses.
So they're not redundant.
They're not redundant.
They're individual. Okay, great.
Yeah. You can do the reporting to show the redundant
Mm-hmm.
if you want. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, and this has just come up with some school board members, I subscribe to Google News Alerts. And so if you go to google.com/alerts, and then I recommend in your search query that you put in Blaine County School District or something to that effect. I get, for instance, when the Mountain Express sends out their weekly update, that comes across on my Google News Alert on my email an hour before the weekly update actually then arrives in my inbox. So I think the news alert is really helpful. It helps me see articles that are about the school district that actually get picked up all over the country. For instance, the daycare article got picked up by a paper in Indianapolis. I never told you that. It helps me see things that are going on in Boise. It helps me see things that are going on in Twin Falls. So it's just, there are probably some things that I'm missing. So please, if you ever see our name in a paper, send it to me. I don't mind that. But for the most part, I'm getting a lot. It also sometimes does, speaking of redundancies, last night I drove down to Hagerman with my family, and I got a Google News alert for Blaine County, and it was actually someone's obituary. So that wasn't working too well for me. But for the most part, it really works if you just put in Blaine County School District. So I encourage you guys to do that too. So just in conclusion, one of the things that's in the plan, I'd like to begin this January, pending approval of the plan. We'd like to begin coffees with the community, which we hope to hold every Wednesday, beginning January 11th and continuing through March 21st. These will be informal opportunities for the community just to meet any school board members that can come or district leadership. And it will be every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30 in various coffee houses from Cary all the way to Ketchum. And back down again through the next couple of winter months. It's a really good opportunity for us to kind of meet the community where they already are and not expect them to have to come to talk to us or come to school board meetings or that kind of thing. And just the last thing I want to say is I continue to receive a lot of positive feedback from parents, students, and teachers about our communications. So I'm proud of the work that I do, and I hope that I can continue being helpful for you guys.
Thank you very much. Catherine?
I just want to make a comment about the Wood River High School newsletter that Heather worked with PTA and high school, and I think Kate Heineke, and that all came together within, a week or something like that. And then all of a sudden I received a newsletter from the high school with calendar dates, and that was great. What was missing, and it just happened, and Heather made that happen.
Oh, good.
With these other entities, and it was really great just for the calendar events that was coming. So thank you.
Thanks,
There
Kathy.
was a good staff at the high school that put that together.
Don?
Heather, I want to thank you for all you do. You're available, you're open. I like talking to you and bouncing things off of you, and you're very helpful, and I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Paul?
Heather, I've just got one question, and maybe I'm wanting to volunteer, maybe you're not going to ask me. The Key Communicators Committee, I mean, you have that at the top of the list. Can you, well, whatever you've created it to be so far, can you kind of describe that? I mean, it's kind of intriguing because it sounds like it's very much a focal point of your direction you're going.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. You know, one of the ways to think about a Key Communicators Committee is that it's kind of like heard it through the grapevine kind of messaging. And key communicators are used in lots of different school districts. There was one that kind of started here a couple of years ago, but there wasn't someone to kind of keep it going. And so that's why I'm really excited about doing it. The one thing about key communicators that's really important is that it first starts internally. And so I've been recruiting staff for a staff key communicators advisory committee. I have a few staff who are signed up and who are really interested. And so we're starting with the staff and then growing to the external piece, the community members. It can take shape in lots of different ways. I hope to not overburden people with meetings, but yet I want people who are interested in receiving information directly from the school district and who are opinion leaders in the community. You know, I think we all have those people that we go to in our social groups or in our church groups or you know, someone in a runner's club, and if that person in that social group is able to talk about the school district and something that's going on, it's to our benefit. And so really the key communicators is a group of people that I'd like to invite anyone to be part of who are willing to pay attention, open the emails, pay attention to the information that we send out, and then, you know, be the person in their community in the grocery store line who's available to answer questions, or at least direct people to the right people in the school district to answer questions. So does that kind of give you a sense of what it's about?
Yeah, it's a beginning, but
It's a
I mean, this
beginning.
whole thing is a beginning. So
Yeah, it's also two-way. It's also a really good two-way kind of communication opportunity because it's for me, it's kind of almost like a focus group where I can say, okay, we're thinking about doing these coffees with the community, for instance. How do you think it's going to go over? Do you think Wednesdays are good, or do you think mornings are good? That kind of information is really helpful to get to. So it's going to be two-way, but it's going to be really helpful to the school district in the long run.
is there any chance a board member could watch what you guys do?
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that kind of
I'm
intrigues me.
hoping
Just to
that
think
board
it's a
members
great idea.
Yeah, I'm hoping that board members will be part of it. There are guidelines that INSPRA, the group that we belong to, kind of recommends for setting up key communicators committees, and I've read through all those guidelines. I'm really excited to kind of get going with it. So.
Cool. Great. Dr. Barber?
Just one comment, if I could. You know, Heather, not only am I getting a lot of feedback from teachers and the community about we really are communicating better than we ever have before. Thank you, Heather. We needed it. But just the communication plan itself, and I was able to look at a couple communications plans. The work that she put into the communication plan, I think, is impressive. And when you go through this, Heather, if you can accomplish, you know, half of it, you'll be a superstar. But I just, when I look at it, and I looked at it again today, it's very comprehensive. And I think that what she showed us tonight, the constant contacts, is another level of communication. So the monitoring of the communication, so you know if it's effective, and if it's not, what are we going to do about it, has been just, I just wanted to say, Heather, very impressive.
Yeah, I really did. You know what I liked about this, Heather? I liked it all, but I liked how you put timelines to it. I mean, the due date column, and I mean that just keeps all of us on task, really. I mean, we're all part of this communications plan. You know, it's not just one person; it's our entire community, really. So, just again, thank you, and Paul.
You know, one of the things when I was going over the plan again the other day was what Rob sent, the email he sent this afternoon. What is it? Is it Rob? The fellow who did
Bob Noy.
Bob.
Oh, right, yeah.
About evaluation. Because I kept seeing great plans and great ideas and not a lot of how do we figure out if this is working or not. And I thought that was great because that kind of stood out to him, and it sounds like he'll probably be helpful with you on that. Although it sounds like he wants you to do all the work.
So Paul's referring to Bob Noy, who did our communications audit, reviewed the communications plan, and sent comments back. And the main one was really finding some strong evaluative tools. And that's where the key communicators advisory committee could also be really helpful, I think. I think evaluation is where you're sort of putting the pedal to the metal. All of our educators in this room kind of live and breathe evaluation, and so we need to figure out how we can translate that to the world of communications and community relations. So I agree with you, that's important.
Good.
Okay, thank
Good
you.
job, Heather.
Any further comments? Thank you, Heather, very much. Right, so this is an action item, and I will now ask for a motion to approve the communications plan as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? All right, further discussion? We'll make the vote, please. Paul?
Yay.
John?
Yay.
Yay. Don? Yay. Catherine?
Yay.
Okay, the communication plan is approved by unanimous vote.
Good work, Heather.
All right. All right, information, or is it old business, new business, item D is the approval of a date change. So approval of a regular February school board meeting date change from February 14th, 2012 to February 21st, 2012. And I think this was due to the absence of both John and Lonnie at that time?
It is, Mr. Chairman Guthrie. We have so many things going on, and it's very interesting to watch them unfold sometimes. But as you know, there is a day where school boards and administrators go down and meet with the legislature, Day on the Hill, they call it. That's sponsored by the ISBA and the legislature jointly. Because that day brings most school boards, some members of most school boards to Boise and their superintendents, they scheduled we have one state superintendent meeting a year, like what you just attended for the Idaho school boards. We actually have two, but the one in the summer is not well attended. So we have one meeting, and because they get everyone in Boise at the same time, they schedule the superintendent's meeting. And our superintendent's meeting is Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday is the Day on the Hill. That way, you're not traveling from Coeur d'Alene twice. That happens to fall on, unfortunately, that second week. Now, the interesting thing about it is most school boards meet early in the second week of each month, either Monday or Tuesday. So probably across the state tonight, they're making this same motion. It would be my guess. But we'd like to just push it back 1 week, and that gives us, it's not next month, the month after.
So we have had some time to look at our schedules. Does that work for everyone? Yeah.
That's the day after the end of President's Weekend. Isn't that the President's Weekend?
It is, no, the week before President's Weekend, I think, isn't it? Well, yeah, no, the school board is the week that you were correct. It's the day after. That's right.
Okay. So I will now ask for a motion to approve the regular February school board meeting date change from February 14th, 2012 to February 21st, 2012.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Further discussion? Okay. Take a vote, please, Catherine.
Yay.
John? Yay. John?
Yay.
Paul?
Yay.
Thank you very much, and that has also passed by unanimous vote. All right. So that concludes our old business.
We have one
Our
amendment.
addition,
What's up?
the inclement
addition.
weather thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Tom. Oh, yes.
Where would it be?
Yep. It was actually, I've got 2 or 3 memos going here. All right. So item E. This is an action item. And it would be to, I'm going to just go ahead and call for the motion, please, to approve the proposal, to approve approval of proposal Blaine County School District Health and Safety Policy 502.11, Driver's Education and Clement Weather Policy.
I'll make that motion.
Policies on the screen.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? No further discussion. I'll ask for a vote, please, Catherine.
Yay.
Don? Yay? John?
Yay.
Paul?
Yay.
Okay. The approval of the proposed Blaine County School District Health and Safety Policy 502.11, Driver's Education and Clement Weather Policy has been approved by unanimous vote. All right. And now I would ask, is there any additional public comment at this time? Okay. Well, I think Penn had her hand up first. She was pretty quick. So, Penn?
I just wanted to say that my son couldn't wait to get into Mr. Bull's classroom, and that he's really appreciated the time he's had in Mr. Bull's classroom. It's his favorite, sort of part of his high school life, and the man has touched him in so many ways. Just the fact that he wants to learn German, he comes home, he's excited about it. I think he's just a terrific teacher, and he will really, really miss him. So I just wanted to thank Mr. Bull for being such a terrific teacher for my son. Thank you.
Thank you, Penn.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
I have one after Kathy.
Okay, Kathy? Yep.
Hi, I'm Kathy Baker, and I just have a couple of comments. I'd like to say that I appreciate Trustee Bates's comment about attaching the packet to the trustees' packet to the meeting agenda. I think that would be very helpful for a member of the public in coming to these meetings and understanding how the topics are going to be discussed. And I think simply footnoting it with it could be contingent upon change or update would be useful. The other thing I'd like to comment on is the policy or procedure for seeking public involvement on committees. I don't know if that actually exists right now, but I think it would be helpful so that people who want to be on a committee or want to know that committees are being formed, that would be posted or listed on the district website and that information shared so that you don't have to attend a board meeting to know about it. And that the process for being on those committees be made known to the public as far as if there's an application process or review process. Principals are involved at the school level as far as recommendations to the district people, as well as if some of those committees had a open meeting policy form, so that if you can't commit to being on the committee, you could come like we are today and observe that committee in action to know what's going on, and then have a way to be able to comment either by written or public or just as an observer to the process. So I think that would be helpful. And lastly, I'd like to comment on, I read Heather's communication plan. I thought it was great. I didn't comment that. But I just want to say that I do appreciate what she does for Haley Elementary. Specifically, she's come and covered our robotics team that was really, really successful. And I'd like to plug that we were the alternate to go to state. And we actually did get invited to go to state, but it was too short a notice to complete because it would have been this coming Saturday, as well as our Joyful Bowl project that our PTA worked with Mr. Dix on recently, and we raised $1,900 in change for the Hunger Coalition, and Heather was really helpful in helping us to promote that project. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Kathy?
We have to limit our comment on public comment, Paul.
I said thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm sorry. I thought you were, okay.
Just really quick.
Okay, all right.
I just want to apologize to the public at home because I just turned my microphone on, and that was probably a blessing.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway,
They didn't miss much.
any further public comment? No? Okay. I think at this time, then, I would ask for a motion
I'll
to
make that
adjourn.
motion.
Oh, you're so quick.
Second.
Second. Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Fritz. Fritz.
Oh, no, it's like fully scribbled. You wouldn't be able to read it. Oh, okay.
I don't think